between prelims and mains, after I wrote a couple of essays with dominant essay program, the feedbacks that I had gotten after that, I understood that writing might be something that I'm very comfortable with, but UPSC essay has a different demand altogether.
So right now I can visualize the structure, that introduction, then the definition, then I can go to the body. That was not there for me earlier. Like always I miss out on the final list because of essay only.
Okay. So let's hope this time that won't happen. Okay, at least with the essay paper. We are hoping to see not only Akshay but everyone present in this meeting in the final list.
Sir, there is a small mistake in Vivek's understanding, I guess. We were discussing the topic last time saying that the word but and will make a lot of difference here. Because we learn from our past, but we need to be innovative also in our future. So that is the topic. So Vivek is actually missing that.
So what if we say something like, if had Ashoka either failed to understand from the past, or if he had not looked into the future with a positive outlook that he can reform himself, then we would have not had a great empire of the Ashokan kingdom, or we would have not had that rich history. मतलब हमें दोनों sides दिखाने पड़ेंगे क्योंकि
very good.
There is also no link to the inference which would create a link with the topic. So there is no inference that how we have to, how he lived it better by looking it forward, and how today we can do that. So I think some aspect of that is also.
Very good. So guys, very good point, Madhav and Anand. Fine guys, let's begin. As you all know, this is our third strategy session. Most of you have given 2 tests so far. कुछ लोगों ने लेट ज्वाइन किया है, but in general 2 टेस्ट आप लोगों ने दे रखा है. Before we move ahead with respect to learning new aspects of or with respect to strategy, पहले थोड़ा सा recall कर लेते हैं. What have we learned in our strategy sessions so far? उसके बाद उन्हीं लर्निंग को reinforce करेंगे और कुछ नए nuances समझने की कोशिश करेंगे. So far, okay, I think this is Kavita. Kavita, I am seeing you for the first time. I'm seeing you for the first time in the live session.
Yes.
Have you gone through the previous recordings, Kavita?
No, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक है. Priority basis पर देख लो कविता recordings.
जी sir, actually I have written test to 3 days before.
Fine, Kavita. Just go through the previous recordings of strategy sessions and post-test discussions on a priority basis.
Okay, sir.
You'll get clarity with respect to the structure as expected in the essay paper. Coming to you, Sudip, you are also not present in the previous class. You have seen, you're on mute, Sudip. You have gone through the recorded sessions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I want to record it.
Okay. Tell me, Sudip, what have we learned so far?
Sir, the introduction, sir, first of all, how to get, sir, just let me get my book, sir.
नहीं, जो याद आ रहा है naturally वो बताओ सुदीप. हर चीज लिखी हुई बताने की जरूरत नहीं है.
So first of all, how the intro should be, sir. We just took a sample essay and we went through the essay, and we discussed various approaches, sir. Approaches and some rules. What are the rules to be followed? Only one approach has to be. There is no mixing of 2 or more approaches, sir. Only one approach should be followed throughout the essay.
ठीक है. Approaches. We have learned the proper usage of approaches in the essay. ठीक है. Madhav, what else have you learned so far?
The major structure of the essay that has to begin with introduction followed by a description paragraph. We have also studied how the main structure of the paragraph would be. It would begin with an argument followed by a substantiation and finally an inference. The first line along with the argument will also act as a coherence factor with the previous paragraph. Other aspect was on the brainstorming, which we did practice in the previous session. We used the speech-led mnemonic for that to brainstorm
Very
a lot
good.
of ideas. I think these were the main
Very good.
learning.
Very good. So we have briefly learned how do we perform brainstorming effectively and efficiently in less amount of time and in such a manner that it is more productive. And as you mentioned, we have learned the 3-step format of our body paragraphs. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Prabha?
Same things that Madhav mentioned. I think the other thing that I learned doing was also numbering the points that we have. So we use a example based, the ideas come based on examples. That also drives which sort of topic we choose.
Prioritization and sequencing of ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
हाँ, तो वो flow करके वैसे, and then connecting words and connecting phrases. That was one thing.
ठीक है. Akshay?
I think everyone covered most of the points, but for me, it was more about the introduction where I was struggling a bit. And the second most important is that weaving the two parts of the question in the same paragraph. So that I was facing a lot of difficulty in. I was always splitting the essay. So this I tried to incorporate in my paragraph, the argument, then the justification.
Okay. So
and the
addressing all the components of the topic in the same paragraph rather than segregating them mechanically.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Any other learning that anyone can recall, Ravi?
Same thing, sir. Mostly my learning was from the brainstorming session. I could not able to recall many of the points which are unique to the syllabus, to the topic, but the speech-led definitely helped me to grab the ideas.
Okay, so to the template of speech-led that we use in the brainstorming part. ठीक है. Okay, Anand, anything from you? Your mic is on.
Yes, sir. I think we have to do the same thing. And first of all, we have to brainstorm according to the speech-led or the syllabus formula that we have provided. There only we can prioritize the order of appearance of each examples, etc. And from there only we can get an idea about the introduction. Right after introduction, we have to switch to definition part. And from definition, we'll directly shift to addressing the core demand of the essay, which will be in which will be a 3-step formula: statement, then a example or justification, and then inferring the same. And which will be in the funnel step. We'll start in a broad manner.
Very good.
And eventually,
can you elaborate on the funnel aspect of the paragraphs?
For example, if we have to talk about something which is good economically, so we'll say that, for example, cooperation among human beings is good for the economic well-being of the country. So this sentence like this can be in the beginning, and in the end we can just give example. For example, Lijjat Papad, or is example. After that, we can infer that this has helped women of Maharashtra to do well economically.
Noted, Anand.
Yes, sir.
So what Anand is saying, and we had discussed this in our previous sessions, our paragraph would move in a funnel format. The opening end of the funnel is broad, and then it goes on tapering, right? So we begin with a broad open-ended argument, then the structure of the paragraph goes on tapering. We justify the argument by giving concrete, solid fact, figure, examples, whatever the case might be, and then we move to the inference and we link the paragraph with the topic. So moving from broad argument to a very pinpointed inference in a tapering manner. So that is a funnel-shaped format that we follow in our body paragraphs. And this we had discussed earlier. I hope everyone is able to connect with the funnel-shaped format of the paragraphs. ठीक है. Guys, we'll take up a sample copy of one of you guys, and we'll just try to recall these learnings in a more practical manner and incorporate a few new learnings as well. Fine. So first and foremost, guys, we are not making a value judgment on the copy. Or this is your copy. आज एक स्टूडेंट की कॉपी ली है, अगली बार हम किसी और की लेंगे. फाइन. दिस इज जस्ट फॉर आवर लर्निंग पर्पस. किसी कॉपी में कुछ नुक्स निकालना हमारा मकसद नहीं है सबके सामने. नो, इट्स नाइदर अ गुड कॉपी नॉर अ बैड कॉपी. वी आर ट्राइंग टू लर्न फ्रॉम दिस. Okay, so the topic here is life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. कुछ लोगों ने ये लिखा था, बाकी लोगों ने नहीं भी लिखा था, but we are considering this topic. Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. So from the strategy point of view, what are our blind spots? जो blind spots इस ऐसे में देखने को मिल रहे हैं, वही अक्सर बाकी स्टूडेंट की कॉपीज में भी दिखते हैं. सो दिस कॉपी इज रेलेवेंट एंड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ अदर स्टूडेंट्स एज वेल. नाउ लेट्स सी द कमेंट्स गिवन हियर एंड द रिलेवेंस ऑफ दोस कमेंट्स. ओके, अ कमेंट गिवन हियर इज कम अप विद. ओके, दीपक, कैन यू जस्ट रीड द कमेंट हियर?
Come up with the same other.
That's some other dimension.
Some other dimension apart from historical.
अच्छा, ठीक है. Now I'll myself read it. You guys just pay attention as to what I'm reading and what's contained in the paragraph, and you guys will have to point out the mistake committed in this paragraph. ठीक है, I'm just reading it out. Topic याद है सबको? Life must be understood backwards. This was the topic. Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. Topic सबने देख लिया है. Now let's go to this para. The student has written, in the ancient times, the most powerful emperor Ashoka had the zeal to conquer. He kept on waging wars until one day he understood that violence is meaningless. He understood that a nation bound by force is never happy. Thus he gave up his policy of Bheri Gosha, that is conquest through force, in favor of Dhamma Gosha, that is conquest through Dhamma. Even today, we come to the realization after every war that peace can only be achieved through negotiation. Okay, how do you look at, guys? Anand, you're raising hand.
So if this is complete paragraph, then we are missing the steps that we have been advised to follow. That we have to start with, even though one might think that this paragraph is addressing the demand of the question, we don't have to assume that the examiner will feel that it is related to that or not. So we have to mention in one statement in the beginning, and in the end we have to infer what we mean by it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so mota you're saying that the argument part is missing in this paragraph. Directly we have started with the reference of Emperor Ashoka, which would be better placed in the substantiation portion. Correct, Anand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Madhav?
Yeah, similar to this one, sir. Also, the paragraph is only looking like a substantiation. So there is also no link to the inference, which would create a link to the topic. So there is no inference that how we have to, how he lived it better by looking it forward, and how today we can do that. So I think some aspect of that will also.
Very good. So guys, very good point, Madhav and Anand.
Sir,
who's this?
Sir Vivek.
हाँ Vivek.
सर मेरे को इस पैराग्राफ में जो चीज समझाई जा रही है ना वो पूरा समझ में आ रहा है. मेरे को ये भी लग रहा है कि ये टॉपिक को भी जस्टिफाई कर रहा है. बस मुझे एक ही चीज जो नहीं आ रही है, जो वो है कि इसमें कुछ आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं दिया है.
ठीक है, बाकी सब समझ, बाकी सब रिलेवेंट लग रहा है.
बाकी सब मुझे रिलेवेंट लग रहा है क्योंकि इन्होंने ये बोल दिया है लास्ट लाइन में, इवन टुडे वी कम टू द रियलाइजेशन आफ्टर एवरी वॉर दैट द पीस कैन ओनली बी अचीव थ्रू नेगोशिएशन. तो ये इट इज रिफ्लेक्टिंग the topic only.
अच्छा, टॉपिक एक बार पढ़ सकते हो? याद है तुमको टॉपिक?
ये था ना, we have to live. एक मिनट सर,
लिख लो ये टॉपिक.
लाइफ मस्ट बी अंडरस्टूड,
एक बार टॉपिक पढ़ लो विवेक.
and it must be live forward. Life must be understood backward but it must be lived forward. तो हमको अपने पास्ट से सीखना चाहिए, पास्ट से सीखी हुई चीजों को हमारे को अपने फ्यूचर में अप्लाई करना चाहिए.
ठीक है. फाइन. आनंद के बाद किसने बोला था? माधव, your friend thinks that इसमें inference जो है, that is doing justice to the topic. Why do you think the inference is not doing justice to the topic, Madhav?
Yes, sir. I think the aspect of that Very Ghosh to Dhamma Ghosh is the one that captures the inference here. So I think if that aspect would be brought at the end and linked to the topic of the essay, I think it would have better conveyed.
Okay, guys, please pay attention. What Madhav has said is relevant. और जो विवेक ने पॉइंट उठा, इट वाज विवेक, राइट? जो विवेक ने डाउट रखा था उसको भी हम क्लैरिफाई करते हैं. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट, द आर्ग्यूमेंट पोर्शन वाज मिसिंग हियर. ठीक है. नाउ अज्यूमिंग यहाँ पर हमने एक प्रॉपर आर्ग्यूमेंट दे दिया है, उसके बाद वी आर expanding or justifying that argument with the help of this particular reference of Emperor Ashoka. Topic क्या है? What is the topic? The topic emphasizes on the contrast. ठीक है. किस बात का contrast? क्या बोल रहा है topic? Life must be understood backwards, but लेकिन परंतु but it must be lived forward. That break between the past and the future, call it a break, call it a modification, call it an alteration, whatever the case might be, but that contrast has to be visible. यहाँ पर the student gave reference to Ashoka's policy and how he transformed his policy from Bheri Ghosha to Dhamma Ghosha. एक sentence दिया है. Now that is the most relevant portion of his substantiation or his paragraph, which has relevance to the topic. Now here, why exactly did he take this step? Topic हमको क्या बोल रहा है? Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. तो ऐसा क्या हो गया that Ashoka had to change his policy from Bheri Ghosha to Dhamma Ghosha? What were the values or what were the practicalities on ground which made him change his stance from looking backward or learning from hindsight to living a futuristic vision? What made him change his stance? That hasn't been explicated elaborately. बस एक sentence हमने लिख दिया है कि भाई Bheri Ghosha was transformed into Dhamma Ghosha, और फिर हम आगे बोल रहे हैं even today we come to the realization of X, Y, Z. आज भी हमको ये रियलाइज हो रहा है कि X, Y, Z करना ही बहुत अच्छी बात होती है. Is the topic emphasizing on the positive aspect of living life forward? आनंद
सर, ये
नींद आ रही है क्या आनंद?
No sir.
Okay. Now let me contrast this with a sample topic. Future is always, or our lives are always inspired by the past. अगर इस टाइप का कोई टॉपिक होता, our lives are always inspired by history or by the past, then this particular paragraph would have made more sense. Past से हमने कुछ चीजें सीखी and now we are implementing those learnings and those learnings are helping us. Then this inference would have made more sense. Even today we come to the realization after every war that peace can only be achieved through negotiation. So what Madhav had pointed out was absolutely correct. अब यहाँ पर Madhav, I'll come back to you. What would be a better inference for this particular paragraph? Substantiation पर तो हमने बात कर लिया कि और ज्यादा elaborate करने की जरूरत थी. Why Ashoka had the need to just learn from the hindsight but live in a futuristic sense. Substantiation we have discussed. Inference किस तरह से हम frame कर सकते थे माधव यहाँ पर to make it more relevant to the topic? I'll come to you, Kavita. Yes, Madhav.
I think maybe
तुम्हारी आवाज थोड़ी धीरे धीरे आ रही है माधव, थोड़ा जोर से बोल सकते हो?
Okay, sir. Maybe the last line could be like just like Ashoka, how he learned from his past mistakes, and then he decided to reform himself by using different peaceful values. The same can be followed in wars that we are seeing today. I think maybe that could be one influence.
ठीक है, make sense. Others, Kavita, आप क्या बोल रहे हो?
Sir, I'm thinking that after justifying Ashoka's point of view, we can link it to present ongoing war of Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Palestine. That these people didn't learn from the past and still मतलब अभी भी वो अपने पास्ट की जो मिस्टेक्स है उसको मतलब दोहरा रहे हैं, तो इसलिए अभी भी जो भी मतलब पास्ट के इश्यूज है वो प्रेजेंट टाइम में हो रहे हैं, तो मतलब इससे हम रिलेट कर सकते हैं कि हमेशा अपने पास्ट से सीखना चाहिए.
Ukraine war could be very well used in a different paragraph. Here if we bring in Ukraine, it would dilute our argumentation as presented in the paragraph. One idea is equal to one paragraph. If you go back through the earlier sessions, you'll get more clarity. Okay. Kavita. Okay. Prabha, you're raising hand.
Okay, sir.
So what if we say something like, if had Ashoka either failed to understand from the past, or if he had not looked into the future with a positive outlook that he can reform himself, then we would have not had, a great empire of the Ashokan kingdom, or we would have not had that rich history. मतलब हमें दोनों sides दिखाने पड़ेंगे.
Very good. Now you have beautifully linked this paragraph to the crux of the topic. Had Ashoka not done X, Y, Z, he would not have been able to achieve A, B, C, right? And this is what the topic is all about. Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. And as Prabha said, Ashoka agar X, Y, Z cheeze nahi karta, he would not have learned life in the hindsight. He would not have been able to achieve such a great or secure such a great empire. As simple as that. Now, this inference is striking at the root of the topic rather than simply saying कि यूक्रेन वॉर इसलिए हो रहा है कि हम सीख नहीं पाए, या फिर linking it to some other current affair stuff. Guys, please don't have this misconception in your mind कि mechanically bringing relevance of current happenings in our paragraph would add value to our paragraphs. If it's being added naturally, then you can bring it up. Say for example, यहाँ पर scope नहीं है. क्यों scope नहीं है? We started with the reference of Ashoka the Great. Stick to it and provide inference by sticking to the reference of Ashoka the Great himself. No need to bring in something mechanically from the current realm. Make sense, Anand? Others?
Yes, sir.
यहाँ पर किस तरह से हमने substantiation frame किया जो missing था, elaborate किया, argument frame किया जो missing था, substantiation को elaborate किया so that it does justice to the topic, and then we altered the inference. तीनों चीजों पर हमने यहाँ पर काम किया है. Clarity है सबको so far?
सर मैं एक चीज बोलूंगा.
Who is this?
सर विवेक.
हाँ विवेक, तुमको क्लैरिटी है, तुमने डाउट प्रेजेंट किया था.
सर एक्चुअल में इसमें जो जैसा इन्होंने किया है ना सर, मैं भी एकदम ऐसा ही करता हूँ. मैं मतलब किसी चीज को, किसी टॉपिक को लेता हूँ और जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ना उसके हिसाब से ऐसे पोर्ट्रे करता हूँ, जो कि सेम इन्होंने भी किया है. और मुझे सर ये लगा जैसे आप बता रहे हैं ना कि उनकी पास्ट की लर्निंग क्या थी. सर वो पास्ट की लर्निंग इन्होंने मेंशन की तो है कि ही हैज रियलाइज्ड इट दैट हाँ, ऊपर में लिखा था ना, द नेशन बाउंड बाय द फोर्सेस नेवर हैप्पी, डज ही गिव अप हिज
आप
पॉलिसी
क्या
ऑफ।
लिखोगे इन्फ्रेंस में, आप क्या लिखोगे?
तो मेरे को तो ये सही लग रहा है सर, क्योंकि ये मतलब मेरे को जो क्रक्स समझ में आ रहा है ना इससे का, वो ये है कि हमको अपने पास्ट से सीखना चाहिए और उससे ही हमारा फ्यूचर बेहतर होता है।
ठीक है,
मतलब वी शुड, ये मेरे को क्रक्स समझ में आ रहा है और यही चीज मेरे को बार बार रीइंफोर्स करनी है अपने जो भी आर्गुमेंट्स दूं।
आपको
और वो
लगता है,
मुझे,
आपको लगता है इस पैराग्राफ का लास्ट सेंटेंस वही वो काम कर रहा है?
सर पैराग्राफ का लास्ट सेंटेंस कर रहा है चाहे ना कर रहा है, लेकिन पूरा पैराग्राफ ये कर रहा है।
अच्छा
ये हो
विवेक,
सकता है
आपने
कि
आपने
लास्ट,
पिछले पिछले स्टडी सेशंस अटेंड किए हैं?
हाँ सर सारे किए हैं सर।
सारे किए हैं।
हाँ।
उन सेशंस में हमने सीखा है that your last sentence of every paragraph would be your inference, where you will be linking the paragraph to the topic. अगर आपके टॉपिक में दो सब कंपोनेंट हैं, दो कौन से हैं वो दो सब कंपोनेंट? लिविंग, लर्निंग फ्रॉम द पास्ट एंड लिविंग फ्यूचरिस्टिकली, मोटा मोटा यही लर्निंग है, राइट? एंड दैट यू विल हैव टू डू बाय कीपिंग द रेफरेंस ऑफ अशोका इंटैक्ट, राइट? अब जरूरी नहीं कि जिस तरह से प्रभा ने बताया उसी तरह से आपको वो लिखना है, लेकिन आप अलग तरीके से भी लिख रहे हो। योर फ्रेमिंग ऑफ सेंटेंस कैन बी डिफरेंट, बट बोथ द सब कंपोनेंट्स मस्ट बी विजिबल इन द इन्फ्रेंस पार्ट। Here what is visible when the student writes, even today we come to a realization after every war that peace can only be achieved through negotiation. यहां पर emphasis किस चीज पर है? नेगोशिएशन के ऊपर है, पीस के ऊपर
लर्निंग। हाँ, दिस इज आवर लर्निंग,
दिस इज आवर लर्निंग, राइट? क्या लर्निंग है हमारी, क्या रियलाइजेशन है हमारा? पीस कैन बी अचीव्ड ओनली थ्रू नेगोशिएशन,
यस,
राइट?
नॉट थ्रू वॉर।
अगर आपको ये करंट रेफरेंस या करंट रिलेवेंस बताना भी है, you will have to mold it in accordance to the tone of the topic. Say for example, let me give you a crude example. एक crude example देता हूं मैं आपको। यहां पर इसके बजाय हम क्या लिख सकते थे? यहां पर क्या लिखा है? Even today we come to a realization after every war that peace can only be achieved through negotiation. ठीक है? Thus Ashoka the Great proved to the world that peace can be achieved or peace is sustainable, ठीक है, through use of soft power rather than hard power, full stop, something on these lines. So here you are bringing the current relevance because you strongly want to bring it, fine, but we have kept the tone of the paragraph intact and we have linked it to the main demand of the topic. इस सेंटेंस में पैराग्राफ का टोन इंटैक्ट नहीं था। आई होप यू गेट द डिफरेंस विवेक।
हाँ सर मैं समझा आपकी बात, बट मैं सर इसमें एक और मेरा डाउट क्लियर कीजिए। सर जब भी हम अपना पैराग्राफ लिख रहे हैं, हम एक आइडिया लिख रहे हैं उस पैराग्राफ में, तो सर वो हमारा पैराग्राफ एज अ होल हमारे उस टॉपिक को रिफ्लेक्ट करना चाहिए ना, रादर देन कि उसकी कुछ दो लाइन में हम लोगों ने कुछ एग्जांपल दे दिया और लास्ट में हम उसको मतलब टॉपिक से लिंक कर रहे हैं। मैं चाहता हूं कि हमारा,
ठीक है, आई गॉट योर पॉइंट। व्हाट विवेक इज सेइंग कि हमारा पूरा पैराग्राफ और एंटायर पैराग्राफ शुड रिफ्लेक्ट द टाइटल ऑफ द एसे। ठीक है, किस तरह से रिफ्लेक्ट करेगा पूरा पैराग्राफ टाइटल को? विवेक रफ आइडिया दे सकते हो?
सर जैसे कि इस पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल में मैं सिर्फ यही दिखाना चाहूंगा कि अशोका ने ये रियलाइज किया कि वॉर इज नॉट अ सोल्यूशन, वॉर से हमको कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। सोल्यूशन इज मतलब गिविंग अ गुड गवर्नेंस और मतलब जो भी धम्मा के बेसिस पे जो हमारा पॉलिसीज होती है ना, इसके थ्रू हम लोगों को अपनी पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम को गवर्न करना चाहिए। तो ये एक लेसन था कि वॉर से हम लोगों को कुछ नहीं हुआ, वॉर से अल्टीमेटली उसको अपने इंटरनली स्ट्रेस हो गया, ठीक है ना, डिस्टर्ब हो गया वो, तो इट कैन नेवर सर्व एनी पर्पस। ये हमारे को दिखाना है और ये पूरा पैराग्राफ में दिखना चाहिए रादर देन के सिर्फ लास्ट की 2 लाइंस में।
दिख तो रहा है,
Okay.
इफ यू रीड द पैराग्राफ अगेन,
हम्म,
पूरे पैराग्राफ में यही तो दिख रहा है. Like the student has not deviated when it comes to the substantiation portion. Substantiation जो है, it is spot on. Just the fact that more elaboration was needed, but it is not irrelevant. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ inference पर emphasize कर रहे हैं. That's not the case, right? तो फिर यहाँ पर दिक्कत क्या है?
Sir,
No, I just want to have this clarity. I want Vivek to have clarity. Vivek, here, you are saying that the entire paragraph should be reflective of the topic. So don't you think the paragraph is reflective of the topic?
Yes, it is reflective.
It is reflective.
It
is reflective, and we are trying to make it even more pinpointed. Getting my point? This is the difference between getting average marks and marks 15, 20, 25 marks more than the average lot. इसी से difference create होता है. ठीक है? 3-step format जो हमने सीखा है, this is no rocket science, Vivek. Just go through the model essay of this particular topic. ठीक है? And once again go through the strategy session that we had discussed, we had conducted. और उसमें यूटिलिटी हमने क्या डिस्कस की थी? व्हाई आर वी फॉलोइंग दिस 3-step फॉर्मेट? आनंद, अगर मैं तुमसे पूछूं व्हाई आर वी फॉलोइंग दिस 3-step फॉर्मेट, सब आर्ग्यूमेंट फॉलोड बाय सब्स्टेंशिएशन फॉलोड बाय इन्फरेंस, इज दिस एन आर्बिट्ररी एक्सरसाइज? क्यों कर रहे हैं हम ये?
Basically, its intention is to show the examiner that we have understood the topic very well, and we are not digressing from the topic at any place in our essay. At some point of time, the examiner might not get such deep insight from our essay as we think he must get. At that point of time, these arguments and inferences are going to be his support in.
In other words, what you're saying, we are constantly hammering the examiner कि देखो भाई, ये हमारा पैराग्राफ है, and paragraph after paragraph we are hooked, or I am hooked to the main demand of the topic, right? और ये कैसे समझ में आएगा? ये कैसे समझ में आएगा? By providing the structured 3-step structured format, argument followed by substantiation, और आखिर में inference पर इतना क्यों हम emphasize कर रहे हैं? Because inference is that component of your paragraph, Vivek, which will show to the examiner that you are constantly hooked to the main demand of the topic. इसलिए inference पर emphasis है. Otherwise ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ inference पर ही emphasis है. पूरे की पूरे paragraph के structure पर emphasis है हमारा. And there is a reason for it. I hope it makes sense, Vivek.
Okay, sir.
Okay, someone else was speaking something. ठीक है, connecting sentences को लेकर भी एक doubt आया था. Guys, how do we maintain organic connect between paragraphs? Deepak?
Sir, from the last line जो पैराग्राफ जहाँ पर एंड हुआ है, या कोई भी जो एक इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट लिया, तो अगले लाइन जब शुरू करें, स्टार्ट करें, तो although we have discussed the economic, now let's go to the other parallel arena, या कोई parallels और कुछ connecting words का यूज करके further या इस तरीके से एक कनेक्ट बना के रखें.
Okay, so in other words,
और जो लास्ट लाइन है पैराग्राफ जहाँ पर एंड हो रहा है, और जो स्टार्टिंग की पैराग्राफ की नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ की लाइन है, जो फर्स्ट पैरा है उसकी जो लास्ट लाइन जहाँ पर एंड हो रही है और जो नेक्स्ट पैरा स्टार्ट हो रहा है, उनके बीच में थोड़ा कनेक्ट होना चाहिए कि एक स्मूथ फ्लो दिखे, वाई वर्ड्स.
ना, वी हैड नॉट डिस्कस्ड इट दिस वे, दीपक. एक पैराग्राफ की लास्ट लाइन और अगले पैराग्राफ की फर्स्ट लाइन में कनेक्ट होगा, ऐसा हमने डिस्कस नहीं किया था. अक्षय
सर, एक्चुअली एक डाउट मेरे को भी है सर इस टॉपिक से. सर पहले ठीक है,
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, दीपक. मैं आपके पास वापस आऊंगा, पहले इसका जवाब मिल जाए. अक्षय, how do you maintain organic connect between paras?
I think like One is like we have discussed this. It's not only applicable in the economic sphere, but also in the political sphere. And then we start giving our argument. So that can be one. And the other can also be like giving some keywords like however, furthermore, apart from this, in spite of this. And that can be another thing, sir, to maintain that flow.
Okay. Guys, please isko note kar lo. In the connecting sentence, definitely we use a connecting sentence to make that organic linkage between paragraphs. But we use those keywords, और वो keywords कहाँ से आते हैं? वो कभी भी arbitrary नहीं होते हैं. We utilize the mainstay of the previous paragraph and the mainstay of the current paragraph. Say, for example, as Akshay said, not only in the political sphere but also in the economic sphere. Not only in the political sphere इसलिए बोल रहे हैं because the topic was analyzed from political point of view in the previous paragraph, and in the current paragraph we are going to analyze it from the economic point of view. इसलिए वहां पर लिख रहे हैं not only from the political point of view but also from the economic point of view, XYZ phenomenon stands to, or whatever the case might be. So the mainstay of the previous para and the mainstay of the current para are to be mentioned explicitly. That's how we make an effort to forge that organic linkage between two subsequent paragraphs. Now, how we do it is a different thing. Now, it's a game of language, it's a game of vocabulary, it's a game of skill. What can be the different ways of putting those two keywords together? Economic domain, economic realm, economic field, and how do you frame that sentence? Okay, it's all about practice, it's all about vocab. And see, we don't need to have super vocab to be able to do it. कुछ good practices हम copy कर लेते हैं connecting sentences के, we can use it to our advantage in the examination. If I ask you guys, कुछ नए students से भी पूछ लेते हैं, विजय, किस तरह से हम connecting sentence present कर सकते हैं? Yeah,
so one way is chronological way.
Okay, can you give an example?
Like we take an example of say ancient history or medieval history, and then currently what's going on. Say for example, we talk about the Second World War, and now come back to the Ukraine war.
ठीक है.
So that's one way, chronological. And as we just discussed, changing the point of views, like as we just discussed, like let's first we talk about the political implications, and then we say what are the economical implications of such a war.
ठीक है, ये तो mainstay हो गए विजय. These are mainstays. Ancient history, medieval history, Second World War, Ukraine war. ठीक है. These are mainstays. But if I ask you to put in words, can you frame a rough crude sentence to frame that connecting sentence?
Yes, sir. Let's say the loss of life in Second World War. We discuss about that, and then end of it at the end of the segment, these same consequences can be seen in the current world as well, which is the Ukraine war.
Okay. So in other words, what you're saying, Vijay, now again, this is a crude example that I'm drawing from your own sentence.
Yes.
The massive loss of lives that was visible during the Second World War has its footprints even in today's XYZ war, Ukraine war, whatever the case might be.
Today's world, yes.
ठीक है, a good effort at forging connecting sentence. Someone else was speaking.
Sir, Ravi sir.
Hi, Ravi.
Sir, do we need to mention the last para mainstay in the fresh argument? For example, if I try to write it like it is pertinent to analyze from the political domain as well. So can we start like this, or should we mention the last para mainstay? For example, it is pertinent to...
You need to, because if you are just mentioning the political aspect that you are going to analyze in that paragraph, you're making that paragraph a standalone paragraph. That's a standalone paragraph, right?
Okay.
How do you show to the examiner that it's not a standalone paragraph, but is a continuation of your thought process, right? You wrote the previous paragraph not by chance, but in a structured manner. How do you show it to the examiner? By linking it to the previous paragraph.
Correct, sir. Sir, one more point is that this is valid for the syllabus approach, like political, economic, and environment, whatever it is. But what if we write in a entity approach? So they're also analyzing from the national level. Now let us come to the international level. Should we go,
Tell me,
like this?
Let's take this example. You have written 2 paragraphs using entities approach.
Okay.
And what are the mainstays of those 2 paragraphs?
Society, individual. So transitioning from individual to society.
Okay. Transitioning from individual aspect to the societal aspect. Fine. Let's assume your argument or the topic pertains to mental health or isolation, something on these lines.
Okay, sir.
Something on these lines. And 1 paragraph was written from the individual perspective, individual point of view. The next is from the social point of view, societal point of view. So again, I'm giving you a crude example. This phenomenon of isolation increases exponentially when looked at the societal level against the individual level analysis. Full stop. Now again, this is a very crude example, but I hope you get the point. पिछला वाला जो पैराग्राफ था, इंडिविजुअल स्पेसिफिक, सोसाइटल एनालिसिस जब हम लिख रहे हैं, वहां पर ये बताने की हमने कोशिश की है कि व्हेन यू लुक इट फ्रॉम द सोसाइटल लेंस, इट टेक्स हायर प्रोपोर्शंस, राइट? So we are establishing that continuity between individual perspective and societal perspective. It will always depend on the type of argument that you are going to put forward.
Can we conclude on the note that it is a mandatory to have this format for all the arguments?
Sorry, all the arguments?
All the yes, sir. Like in
all the arguments बोलने से बेहतर all the paragraphs, right?
All the paragraphs.
Because argument is a component of your paragraph.
Correct, sir.
Right?
Yeah. It is mandatory.
It is mandatory in the sense it shows that you are a structured thinker, right? Whatever you are writing is not haphazard. You have thought it well before writing. In that sense, it becomes mandatory.
But sir, my point of contention is that suppose there are 10 fresh paragraphs for a particular essay. So, and we are going to write 2 essays, so 20 paragraphs. So if we don't have 20 such innovative ideas of linking those 2 mainstay and forging it together, so it will be like repetitive in nature, right?
Nah, Ravi and others. Now this is a valid question, valid point. Ravi is saying that if you're using 20 paragraphs in the entire paper, 2 essays, 10 each. What if we don't have 20 different ways of putting these connecting lines? Guys, no one will have 20 different ways to put in those 20 paragraphs. Our motive is to reduce repetition as much as possible when it comes to the language being used in the connecting sentences. It doesn't mean we'll have to use it entirely differently. That's not possible. 20 different ways you won't have. ठीक है?
Correct, sir.
लेकिन इसका मतलब ये भी नहीं कि हर पैराग्राफ उसी तरह से शुरू कर रहे हो, उतना भी रिपीटेशन नहीं चलेगा. ठीक है?
Sir, for example,
so let's understand this difference between one idea, one paragraph, and repetition between language of connecting sentences. Your mainstay would not repeat. Your argument would not repeat. Your examples, references would not repeat. But when it comes to connecting sentences, that language might be repetitive to some extent. Because यहाँ पर कोई भी PhD नहीं कर रहा है इंग्लिश में कि 20 नए तरीके लेकर आ जाएगा एग्जाम प्रेशर में, हर पैराग्राफ में कुछ नया लेकर आ जाएगा व्हेन इट कम्स टू लैंग्वेज ऑफ योर कनेक्टिंग सेंटेंसेस. थोड़ा रिपीटेशन वहां पर चलेगा. रवि, इज योर डाउट क्लियर?
Sir, for example, I have noted down 4 to 6 because this was my doubt since starting. So I have noted down 5 to 6. For example, I have noted down that having discussed the cultural domain, let us explore the environmental dimensions as well. This was my first. Second, we see the interplay of poverty and underdevelopment in economic perspective, but we see the similar interplay in terms of X and Y and Z kind of. So will this exercise work to a large extent, or
definitely
should I drop
it will work? Definitely it will work. And one thing that I would suggest you guys to do it in a peer format. Say for example, you have jotted down 6 different ways you can use connecting sentences.
Correct, sir.
Share it in the group, share it with your friends, because see, some things that you have noted down, others might not have noted down, and other things that they might have noted down, you might not have noted down. ठीक है? Share it with one another. It will only enrich your own style of writing essay in general or connecting sentences in particular. Now, one important input, guys, please pay attention. One important input.
Hello.
One important. Yeah, who's this? Who's this, please?
Vivek, sir.
Vivek. Yes, Vivek.
Vivek, sir.
हाँ Vivek. Can you hear me, Vivek?
हाँ सर. हेलो.
हाँ बोलो विवेक.
हाँ सर, मैं ये कह रहा था, जैसे आप बता रहे थे ना सर कि जब भी हम नया पैराग्राफ चालू कर रहे हैं तो थोड़ा सा हम लोगों को पीछे वाले पैराग्राफ का मेंशन करना है ना सर? सर उसकी जगह सर जैसे मैंने 1-2 सैंपल उठा के रख लिया है अपने लिए कि अगर मेरे को जैसे ही अपना पैराग्राफ ट्रांजिशन करना है तो मैं उसका एक एग्जांपल आपको दे रहा हूँ. 2 चीज के बीच में, जैसे वो वाला एक टॉपिक था ना हमारा, नीड ब्रिंग्स ग्रीड एंड इफ ग्रीड इंक्रीजेस इट स्पॉइल्स ग्रीड. तो मैं 2 चीज मैं आपको बताता हूँ ट्रांजिशन के लिए कैसे करूंगा. द प्रिंसिपल नीड ब्रिंग्स ग्रीड, इफ ग्रीड इंक्रीजेस इट स्पॉइल ग्रीड कैन बी ट्रेस्ड थ्रू द वेरियस एपिसोड इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री. और फिर उसका एक हिस्टोरिकल एग्जांपल दे दूंगा. एंड देन आ गया सब मेरा कल्चर वाला.
Wait.
उसमें मैं लिखूं.
You started your argument by mentioning the topic itself.
Yes.
No, this is not a good way of beginning your paragraphs. It's not a good way of presenting a new argument. How is it a new argument? आप टॉपिक को ही रीइंपोज कर रहे हो.
मैं टॉपिक को रीइंपोज करके ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि नाउ वी विल सी इट द टॉपिक इन द हिस्टोरिकल कंटेक्स्ट, देन वी विल सी इट इन कल्चरल कंटेक्स्ट.
Let's do it more smartly. Say for example, again एक crude example देता हूँ. The interplay between need, greed, and its negative fallouts on the upcoming generations are very much visible in whatever XYZ domain that you are mentioning. तो here हमने पूरे टॉपिक को रीइंपोज नहीं किया, बस उसके कीवर्ड्स को हमारी खुद की लैंग्वेज में, हमारी खुद की आर्ग्यूमेंट में प्रेजेंट किया है कि इस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन में किस तरह से ये इंटरप्ले हमको देखने को मिलता है. राइट?
अच्छा, ओके.
Reimposing the entire title in your argument is not at all advisable. ठीक है? Having said that, I was mentioning about this. रवि ने जैसे 6 टेम्पलेट्स बनाए थे with reference to connecting sentences, and in some of those he was using first person, second person. Say for example, यहाँ पर भी इस कॉपी में हमको दिख रहा है. Guys, is the cursor visible? कर्सर दिख रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Physics which helps us understand. So I, you, we, us, इन रेफरेंसेस को हमको कॉन्शियसली अवॉइड करना है. विल स्पीक इन द थर्ड पर्सन. इट, दे. अब यहां पर जो लिखा गया है उसी को हम अलग से थर्ड पर्सन में कैसे लिख सकते थे? Are a culmination of our past understanding of the matter, and physics which helps us understand even more of the universe. ठीक है. So matter and physics, which better explicates or which enhances general understanding about the universe. Full stop. यहां पर हमको रिश्ता नहीं बनाना है इवेल्युएटर के साथ, मैं और आप, हम, ठीक है, हम लोग, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. इट इज आवर essay paper is supposed to be a formal write-up, fine, not an informal one. And in a formal write-up, we generally avoid first person usage. Please make a note of this. With practice, you'll be able to do it consciously. Ravi, make sense? Prabha?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Consciously nahi kar rahe the, so we'll make sure that we do.
Even Prabha's name on her screen is a good example. Prabha, just keep your video on.
Video is on, sir. Off करूँगा.
प्रभा के स्क्रीन पर दिख रहा है प्रभा शर्मा ब्रैकेट में शी, हर, राइट. इस टाइप के रेफरेंसेस अवॉइड करने हैं. फर्स्ट पर्सन, सेकंड पर्सन. ओके, नाउ दैट वाज ऑन अ लाइटर नोट. मूविंग अहेड. ओके, कनेक्टिंग सेंटेंसेस वी हैव जस्ट डिस्कस्ड. फाइन. Guys, this particular paragraph, I'll just read it out very quickly. Pay attention, and I'll take names. आपको मुझे बताना पड़ेगा कि यहाँ पर आपको क्या deviation दिख रहा है from the topic, from the structure that we have learned so far. Vivek, please pay attention. Even in the realm of biology, our system works by understanding all the pathogens it has encountered so far and comes up with defense against the new pathogens it encounters. Thus, it's the past immunization which helps us live. Akshay, what is the deviation from the standard structure that we have learned so far?
Yes, sir. I'll just take some time. Sir, the difference is not being highlighted much here because it says there's the word called but in that. So that is not being shown properly.
Okay, the contrast between
Yes,
the
sir.
two components is not visible. ठीक है. Anything else? Vivek?
मैं कह रहा हूँ सर, पहली बार पढ़ने में मेरे को नहीं समझ में आया था, लेकिन सेकंड टाइम पढ़ने में मेरे को आइडिया समझ में आ गया और आइडिया क्लियर हो गया कि ये क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं.
क्या
तो
आइडिया
इसमें
है?
मुझे आइडिया ये है कि जो हमारा इम्यून सिस्टम है ना, वो भी अपने पास्ट से लड़ता है और फिर वो आगे के लिए हमारी इम्यूनाइजेशन को आगे के लिए स्ट्रेंथन करता है. आइडिया ये है.
अच्छा,
तो
मतलब पास्ट से सीखा जा रहा है.
हाँ,
और उसकी वजह से हमको फायदा हो रहा है.
हाँ, इम्यून हो रही है हमारी बॉडी. तो वो आइडिया मुझे सेकंड टाइम पढ़ने में समझ में आ गया, बट वो अच्छे से वो कहीं ना रीफ्रेजिंग शायद रिक्वायरमेंट है. बट इसमें
if I ask you, Vivek, can you see any deviation in the argumentation in the idea presented here? कोई deviation दिख रहा है from the topic?
Sir, there is a small mistake in Vivek's understanding. I guess we were discussing the topic last time, saying that the word but and will make a lot of difference here, because we learn from our past, but we need to be innovative also in our future. So that is the topic. So Vivek is actually missing that.
Okay, absolutely. Vivek, यहाँ पर इस पैराग्राफ की अगर बात करें, if the topic was somewhere on these lines, that we always draw inspiration from the past. We always draw inspiration from the past. Then this particular argument would have been very much valid. But here, as Akshay has highlighted, there is no contrast. So this particular idea doesn't fit the given context of the topic. Right? अब यहाँ पर एक मैं counter example देने की कोशिश करता हूँ, which should relate to the topic. Again a crude example, क्योंकि ये साइंस की फील्ड से है आर्ग्यूमेंट, उसी फील्ड से मैं एक क्रूड एग्जांपल जो मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है मैं बताता हूं. Now, Ayurveda has been used since ancient times in this country, right? So we have learned from Ayurveda, but it doesn't mean that we have not modernized at the same time. We are adopting modern techniques for ultrafiltration of different constituents used in Ayurvedic medicine. Plus, we are using knowledge of Ayurveda along with knowledge of other alternative medicines or the mainstream allopathic medicine. We are not just restricted to it, and we are modernizing as per our own needs. Right? ऐसा नहीं कि भाई वेदों में इस तरह ये चीज दी गई है, धन्वंतरी ने ये चीज बताई है, हम उसी को गॉस्पेल ट्रुथ मानकर हम चलेंगे. We won't modernize at all. We are learning from the past, but we are innovating at the same time. We are altering at the same time. We are changing at the same time. Basic ज्ञान तो वही है. Fine. Now this was a very crude example based on the topic presented here by the student, but I hope it makes sense, Vivek.
No, sir.
To be able to do justice or to be able to link our argument with the main demand of the topic, that kind of contrast is needed. ठीक है? And this particular paragraph is a deviation from the main demand of the topic. That is one thing. Another, guys, if I say that this paragraph is too short and structured, इससे क्या समझ में आ रहा है आपको? Anand, how is it unstructured?
Sir, it does not have a connecting statement with the previous paragraph. That is one. Plus, it has not put any argument to start with. Or if you can say the example is the argument, then it's all right. And again, by adding one or two sentences, it could be made, that contrast could be made to appear here. Just like here, ये बोला कि new pathogen explains the post immunization which helps us live. तो यहाँ पर ये ऐड किया जा सकता है learning from the body, मतलब body is functioning of fighting with diseases. We should try to मतलब adopt it in our medical ऐसा कुछ भी.
ठीक है, makes sense. So again, as you said, as Anand said, argument could have been framed properly, and inference is missing two important things. And again, as Anand said, in the substantiation portion, that contrast should have been clearly visible, because that is the main demand of the topic. Okay, and if you see sentence wise, now guys, please pay attention. कितने sentences हैं इस paragraph में? One. Okay. So again, please make note of this. ये पहले भी हमने discuss किया था. Your argument will need at least one sentence. Your substantiation portion will need two sentences. Your inference portion will need at least one sentence. So in your paragraph, to the bare minimum, you'll need to have 4 sentences. Now, doesn't matter, those sentences might be short, but you will need those short 4 sentences. यहाँ पर एक sentences ही 4, 5, 6, 7 लाइन का हम लिख रहे हैं. Doesn't serve any purpose. Short sentences लिखो, but keep it structured, have a proper argument, followed by solid justification, followed by inference linking it to the topic. Minimum 4. Now that can increase based on the argument that you have framed, based on the elaboration that you are doing as part of your substantiation. 4 का 5 हो सकता है, 6 हो सकता है, probably 7 भी हो सकता है. But again, this gives us a good reference point that our paragraphs cannot be smaller than 4 sentences, and they cannot be as lengthy as 10, 11, 12 sentences. Make sense, Akshay? Others?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was not only about the length of the paragraphs, but how do we keep the paras more structured?
अच्छा सर, एक और डाउट है सर.
Who's this?
विवेक सर.
विवेक के साथ I think Sudip also had a doubt. Sudip?
Also no doubt, sir. No doubt.
Okay, yes, Vivek.
सर जैसे कि आपने हाईलाइट किया, मतलब कि ये जो एक बट वाला जो आ रहा है ना इसमें, which is reflecting certain kind of improvement from the past, वो हमारे इसमें रिफ्लेक्ट होना चाहिए. अरे तो मैं ये कह रहा हूँ सर, अगर मैं इस टॉपिक की मे भी मैं गलत अंडरस्टैंड कर रहा हूँ, उस चीज को मैं क्लैरिफाई करना चाह रहा हूँ। जैसे इसमें लिखा है ना, लाइफ मस्ट बी अंडरस्टूड बैकवर्ड बट इट मस्ट बी लिव फॉरवर्ड। तो आपके हिसाब से बट मीन सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट, सम इनोवेशन, वो हमको दिखाना है। मैं इसको सर ऐसे समझ रहा हूँ कि हमने पास्ट के जो भी एक्सपीरियंसेस है ना, वो हमारे फ्यूचर को बेटर करने के लिए यूज होने चाहिए।
नो
बेटर करने
विवेक,
हाँ सर,
that is not the right interpretation of the topic. मैं आपको एक काउंटर एग्जांपल देता हूं. If the topic was such, again एक crude topic दे रहा हूं मैं, कि our future is always inspired from our past. Our future is always inspired from our past. Then that reasoning that you just presented stands true, stands valid. कि पास्ट से ही हमारी जिंदगी बेहतर हो सकती है, बीट प्रेजेंट और बीट द फ्यूचर. लेकिन टॉपिक अगर बोल रहा है आपको पीछे देखना है सीखने के लिए, लेकिन परंतु किंतु जब आप आगे जियोगे तो फ्यूचरिस्टिक विजन के साथ जियोगे. ठीक है, हिंदी इंग्लिश थोड़ा सा मिक्स हो रहा है यहाँ पे. सो लाइफ मस्ट बी अंडरस्टूड बैकवर्ड्स बट it must be lived forward. There is some change, there is some alteration, right? And that is quite explicit as given by the topic. अगर हम, आप जिस तरह से इसको इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हो, उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर हम लिखेंगे, then our essay would be a complete deviation from the main demand of the topic. I have been speaking to you guys. कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को मैंने फोन किया था, तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स ने उठाया नहीं, नेचुरली बिकॉज वो शायद लाइब्रेरी में होंगे, इट्स मेंस टाइम. और कुछ स्टूडेंट्स से मेरी बात हो पाई है, और जिनको मैंने नहीं लगाया है उनको मैं लगाऊंगा इन 1 or 2 days. सबसे बात हो जाएगी मेरी. लेकिन जितनों से भी बात हुई है, उनसे बात करते हुए भी यही क्लैरिटी एमर्ज करने की कोशिश की है, और एमर्ज हुई भी है कि at times guys, at times we have this bias of interpreting the topic as per our point of view, or as we would want to interpret it, or as we would like to interpret it. But that won't fetch us marks. We'll have to stick to what the topic is explicitly mentioning. If that gray area exists, gray area अगर exist करता है, that is a different thing. ओपन एंडेड इंटरप्रिटेशन अगर टॉपिक आपको अलाउ कर रहा है, यहां पर टॉपिक काफी क्लियर है. इट इज यूजिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर वर्ड बट का क्या मतलब होता है विवेक? लेकिन राइट. सो
किंतु परंतु वाला है.
सो इफ आई से, ऑल्दो दिस इज नॉट अ गुड एग्जांपल, लेकिन अब जो दिमाग में आ रहा है, Vivek doesn't study hard, but he will clear the exam. Fine? तो एक चीज है जो नॉर्म है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद कुछ अलग होने वाला है. ठीक है, फाइन. आगे बढ़ते हैं. विजय, आर यू रेजिंग हैंड?
Yes, sir. I've actually had a similar doubt. Like, our past experiences, they can be both, the past actions can be both positive and negative as well. Maybe we had some growth in the past as well. So, but yeah, I mean, after your explanation, like, because of the word but, there should be some contrast between past and future.
Okay.
And I think, because of that but word, actually, we should take, some contrasting, actions from past and then future.
No, fine. This is well understood. What is the point you are making, Vijay?
Yes, sir. My question was actually that past can have some positive actions as well, some positive growth as well.
Sorry. Certainly, guys. See, in past we had good incidents. In the past we had the Holocaust, Hitler, right? So we always have the scope to counter the topic. Fine. So learning from the past and not learning from the past both stand equally true, लेकिन that we'll be doing in the counter perspective section. मेन बॉडी में अगर टॉपिक बोल रहा है सीखो पास्ट से, तो हम सीखेंगे। अगर टॉपिक बोल रहा है कि पास्ट को फॉलो मत करो, तो हम पास्ट को फॉलो नहीं करेंगे। We will take the topic or we'll take the main premise of the topic as gospel truth for the major portion of our essay. ये हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया है, राइट विजय?
यस सर, यस सर।
ठीक है, ओके, let's quickly move ahead and just a moment, I had also noted down a few points as you guys had mentioned in the previous discussions. पैरासाइज पर हमने डिस्कस किया है, शॉर्टर सेंटेंसेस पर भी हमने बात की है। ओके, शॉर्टर पैराग्राफ्स अगेन। ओके, इफ आई आस्क यू गाइज व्हेन वी प्रोवाइड काउंटर पर्सपेक्टिव्स, विजय तुमसे ही पूछता हूं।
यस सर।
इसी टॉपिक के ऊपर अगर काउंटर देना है, हाउ वुड यू स्टार्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर पैराग्राफ ऑफ काउंटर पर्सपेक्टिव?
Counter perspective. So our main body was actually talking about something, a mistake which was done in the past, and then how we are correcting now.
ना, मिस्टेक की बात ही नहीं हो रही। टॉपिक क्या बोल रहा था? लेट्स गो बैक टू द टॉपिक वंस अगेन। पढ़ो।
Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward.
If you are presenting a counter, how would you start that particular paragraph?
So maybe take an example where you had some positive. You did some positive action, or there was some positive growth, and you appreciate that growth from the past, and then you carry forward that.
ठीक है, fine. So my question is, can you give me a good example? Now this is your idea. This is your idea.
Yes,
Practically किस तरह से लिखना शुरू करोगे वो पैराग्राफ?
So if you take the example that we just discussed about Ashoka, how he actually followed the path of peace. We can follow the same path of peace now as well.
ठीक है, guys, please pay attention here in our sessions and in our papers. हमको पता है, I as your mentor, I'm asking you to provide counter perspectives, and you have learned this and you are providing counter perspectives. ये तो हमको पता है हमारे लेवल पर, एग्जामिनर को तो नहीं पता कि हमने ये सीखा है और हम ये करने वाले हैं। इवैल्यूएटर की बात कर रहा हूं मैं। सो एट वन हैंड, काउंटर पर्सपेक्टिव्स आर सर्टेनली मार्क फेचिंग, बट इफ एग्जीक्यूटेड बैडली it might seem a deviation from the main premise of the topic. So rather than giving you marks, it can snatch away marks. Now this is a good example. यहाँ पर स्टूडेंट ने क्या लिखा? Now this is a counter perspective, लेकिन it is appearing more of a deviation. क्या लिखा है स्टूडेंट ने? Moreover. When do you write moreover?
When you're building on the same theme.
Very
not
good.
Not giving a counter.
When you're building on the previous arguments, previous ideas presented. So here, moreover is a very ill-suited word. What could we use here?
However.
So can we also, I just typed out something quickly. What if I say, while it is largely evident that life must be understood backward and lived forward, there are also justified exemptions when this might not be possible. So एक summary भी दे दिया पीछे का और आगे का counter भी।
So again, you have made that effort to make this transition quite evident that now you are shifting your gears against the premise of the topic, right? Prabha, if you can hear me.
Yes, sir, वही कोशिश की थी. So that the demarcation is clear. And
the demarcation is clear, that transition is clear. अब यहाँ पर एक तो moreover से शुरुआत की है, and then what is written? We must live the future means we should apply. हमने ये करना चाहिए, हमने वो करना चाहिए, wishful thinking की बात शुरू हो गई. So there is no clear indication as to the fact that the student is moving towards the counter perspective. Now the examiner is not privy to the learnings we have had in this program. जब वो इस पैराग्राफ को देखेगा, he will look at it as a deviation from the main demand of the topic. Fine. So यहाँ पर जिस तरह से प्रभा ने एफर्ट किया प्रेजेंट करने का, that transition, that demarcation, उस तरह से काउंटर के शुरुआत में ही will have to ensure that shift is quite clear to the examiner. Say for example, जैसे प्रभा ने कहा, however, that particular phenomenon from the past is not always the true, and the counter step might need to be taken, something on these lines. So जब मैं इसको पढ़ रहा हूं as the examiner, मुझे समझ आ रहा है स्टूडेंट कुछ अलग लिख रहा है, टॉपिक से हटकर लिख रहा है. That is quite evident, and the student is doing it consciously. Akshay, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Right? So, as an examiner, मुझे समझ आ रहा है that student is consciously presenting some counter, consciously एक counter present किया जा रहा है, rather than it being looked as a clear deviation from the topic. Right? Please note this down. Please note this down. We intend to make our counter perspective mark fetching, not mark snatching. ठीक है? विवेक, make sense?
हाँ सर. Yes sir.
आनंद के चेहरे पे काफी अच्छी स्माइल दिख रही है. आनंद समझ आ रहा है सब?
Yes sir. The way you said that made me smile, sir.
कौन सा, mark fetching और mark snatching?
Yes sir. Obviously the entire essay we have to write for fetching marks only, not for losing that.
Okay. Now guys, we are learning these nuances, right? इन्हीं nuances के मार्क होते हैं ऐसे की, जब जहां तक बात करें हम जीएस की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. ये चीज तो हमने पहले डिस्कस कर लिया था, that we avoid bringing new dimensions in the conclusion. से for example यहाँ पर लिखा ना, this is self-explanatory. To learn and apply that knowledge is seen in the way we handle crisis. For example, how Dr. Manmohan Singh's time as finance minister, 1991 crisis, helped him respond against the 2008 crisis. Now, guys, why is this misplaced? Why is this reference misplaced, Akshay?
So I think like my mind is all going on the comment. It says that not bringing in new dimension.
भूल जाओ comment को भूल जाओ. आप बताओ. Prabha.
So actually now, kabhi like in the end, in the conclusion, sometimes we've seen anecdotes come back, examples come back. So I think agar isko bina for example diye, maybe we could just end it saying that had Dr. Manmohan Singh, not learned and then had not applied it in the future.
The student has not mentioned Dr. Manmohan Singh anywhere in the essay. Just here.
So I think my confusion is that because I think it's a strong sort of ending, I'm just trying to think of how to craft it. मतलब हम नहीं use कर सकते ये, ऐसा है क्या? Point तो अच्छा है.
Point तो अच्छा है, ठीक है. Point अच्छा है, लेकिन misplaced क्यों है, वही हम समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Guys, what have we learned with respect to conclusion? Conclusion कितने types के होते हैं?
Types तो नहीं यार, but summarize करना चाहिए. New dimensions नहीं लाने चाहिए.
Recap of what we just said.
Way forward and summarization, sir.
Okay. So we have learned in philosophical essays, summarization is a good way to conclude our essay. Conventional essays की बात और होती है, जहां पर हमने problems और issues गिनवाए होते हैं, वहां पर solution देना भी expected होता है हमसे. So it falls more in the way forward category, right? और summarization का क्या मतलब होता है? When we summarize something, do we put new examples? Do we bring new examples or new references in it? Prabha?
No, sir.
No. दिख रहा है. Okay.
This is
maybe a way forward.
This is how we hone our emotions. चीज दिखने में तो बहुत अच्छी लगती है, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह वाला रेफरेंस तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है, माना बहुत स्ट्रांग है लेकिन यहां पर मिसप्लेस्ड है, ठीक है। And if at all you had this in your mind, you could have brought it up in the main body, right? Okay. So guys, these were a few nuances with respect to structure that we had to discuss today based on your inputs and based on the interactions I've had with some of you guys on phone. And we have also recollected and reinforced the learnings from the previous sessions as to the structuring of the essay. और ये इस practical example के through हमने और better internalize करने की कोशिश की है. Rather than speaking verbally, this particular discussion on this paper makes it more relatable and more relevant for you guys. ठीक है, guys. Your test 3 is always it is already live. You can attempt your test, fine, and it will be handed back to you in a span of roughly 3 days. इसके अलावा अगर आपका कोई डाउट अगर है with respect to structure, you can bring it up now or we can end the session.
Sir, one more doubt, sir.
Who's this?
Ravi, sir.
हाँ Ravi.
Sir, just after the definitional paragraph, what is the adequate way to start the argument or the main body?
अच्छा, तुमको कहीं इस बात में तो कंफ्यूजन नहीं हो रहा कि डेफिनेशनल पैराग्राफ में और उसके बाद वाले पैराग्राफ में लिंकेज कैसे ड्रॉ किया जाए?
You can explain on it, sir, as well. But my point is, what is the right way to start? Like, whatever I do is, suppose I have a historical perspective to deal with. So I simply write it starting with the historical analysis. We find this, and then substantiation, then the inference, and then the continuing part. But this is the template which I have. But like, I want you to add something on it, sir.
अच्छा, ठीक है. See, your point is valid. Your point is valid, Ravi. Now, we'll try to use more refined and more mature language. अब refined का मतलब ये नहीं है कि we'll start using Queen's English. That is not expected and that is not necessary. Now, I'll just give you one example. How do we present it in a more formal and refined manner? तुमने हिस्ट्री का रेफरेंस दिया, राइट? कैन यू जस्ट रिपीट दैट आर्गुमेंट फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री डोमेन अभी जो तुमने बताया है?
Sir, I have a tendency to write starting with the historical perspective. We find X to be valid on this like this, and then the example.
Okay, ठीक है. Starting from historical perspective मतलब तुम एग्जामिनर को बताना चाह रहे हो कि अब मैं हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव से एनालाइज कर रहा हूं टॉपिक को.
स्टार्ट कर रहा हूं सर. लाइक आई एम स्टार्टिंग द मेन बॉडी फ्रॉम द हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव इटसेल्फ.
ठीक है. सी, वी नीड नॉट मेक इट सो ऑब्वियस टू द एग्जामिनर कि हम उसको ये बताएं कि चलो भाई अब मैं हिस्टोरिकल एनालिसिस करने वाला हूं, उसके बाद बताऊं चलो अब मैं हिस्टोरिकल एनालिसिस मेरी हो गई, अब मैं इकोनॉमिक एनालिसिस करने वाला हूं. लेट्स ट्राई टू रिफाइन इट. नाउ वन एग्जांपल कैन बी हिस्ट्री इज रिप्लीट. नाउ दिस इज अ क्रूड एग्जांपल. हिस्ट्री से फॉर एग्जांपल मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री की अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री इज रिप्लीट विथ न्यूमरस इंसिडेंट्स ऑफ वुमेन सब्जुगेशन एट द होम. फुल स्टॉप. थोड़ा सा रिफाइन करने की कोशिश की और फॉर्मल टोन में उसको हमने प्रेजेंट करने की कोशिश की. इफ यू वांट वी कैन कम अप विथ सच टेम्पलेट्स ऑफ हाउ यू बिगिन योर पैराग्राफ्स when it comes to your arguments and when it comes to your inferences. I'll just make a note of it and I think that would be better. तो सबसे पहला सवाल रवि, एक एग्जांपल मैंने दिया है अभी आपको. does it make sense to you?
Sir, it does make sense, but my point is that do we need to draw a drastic or some innovative way to start the essay, or simply we should go for a dimension and that needs to be discussed? For example, it is pertinent to analyze this topic from this particular angle and then come forward to substantiate it? Or do we need to mention that I'm opening the stand, now I'm opening my arms to create a main body impression? So do we need to do that, or simply it is a exercise that needs to be done?
बहुत अच्छा करने के चक्कर में बहुत खराब हो जाता है अक्सर काम. अभी हमने सीखा है वी अवॉइड स्पीकिंग इन फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड पर्सन. सो आई एम डूइंग दिस, आई एम डूइंग दैट, ये तो हम वैसे भी नहीं बोलेंगे, नहीं लिखेंगे.
करेक्ट, वो तो नहीं होगा सर.
राइट. And the way you are trying to begin your paragraphs, it is pertinent to do X, Y, Z, and so on. So I think this is quite mature language, Ravi. Okay, यहाँ पर don't doubt yourself as to you are not using mature language. जैसे मैंने कहा, आप एक दूसरे के साथ ग्रुप में शेयर करो जो भी टेम्पलेट्स आपने बनाए हैं या सीखे हैं अब तक. Apart from that, I'll also share some good practices, आप बोल सकते हो, as to how you can start with your arguments and provide inferences. ठीक है?
Correct, sir.
That is just for your reference purpose. ठीक है? Madhav, you are raising hand.
Sir, I wanted to ask whether it is appropriate to give subheadings in the essay.
Subheading. इसी एग्जाम ऐसे का टॉपिक लो, मुझे बताओ क्या सबहेडिंग दोगे आप इसमें? Life must be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward.
I gave something in the main essay, but
आवाज थोड़ी धीमी आ रही है माधव.
Sir, I'm just thinking of it. So after the introduction and the description paragraph, I'll try to give an subheading. So that would be
okay. First, let me ask you this. Don't get me wrong. Are you from engineering background? No. Acha. See why I ask this question. Generally, engineers have this habit and this question कि क्या हम subheading provide करें? Fine. See, as we had discussed earlier in our strategy sessions. Sorry, philosophical essays में subheadings generally doesn't fit. They don't fit. Conventional essays you have the liberty, but it is always better if you can keep your write-up free flowing. Keep it free flowing. Mechanically we won't add or utilize subheadings. Fine. That's our learning so far. Vijay, you're raising hand.
Yes, sir. So earlier we have discussed about a template to organize our thoughts. I think speechlet was the acronym you gave.
Brainstorming की बात कर रहे हो?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
So actually हम इसको can we use it both in conventional as well as philosophical essays? Question number 1. And then can you give us more such templates like speechlet and like templates which can be used for philosophical and templates which can be used for conventional? Basically, I'm trying to get to flow the essay, a proper flow of essay, how to organize our thoughts and then create that flow.
Okay. Before I say anything, do you have an alternative in your mind, an alternate template for brainstorming? Brainstorming, we're speaking about brainstorming, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have?
I mean to ask, is there any standard template already, like for essay?
No, I'll just answer your question, but I'm asking you, yes, do you have an alternative in your mind?
The ones which we have already discussed are like the entity-based ones. Like from an individual perspective, you go on to the societal level, and then national, international level, or something like that.
Okay, guys. The pastel template. Now we are speaking about brainstorming, right? We are not talking about the approaches to be used while writing the paper. Be it the pastel template or speechlet in the expanded format or the syllabus approach in the expanded format, generally serves the purpose because it helps you structure your random thoughts. Fine. even if you take the syllabus approach, starting from paper 1, history, modern history, world history, society, all the way to ethics, morals, everything, paper 4. So it is a very wholesome template that helps us to structure our random thoughts. I don't think we should be experimenting unnecessarily with other templates, because this is serving us good. ऐसा तो किसी के साथ हुआ है, ऐसा हुआ है किसी के साथ कि you have tried to use this template but have miserably failed in structuring your thoughts? Has this been the case with anyone? No one. So let's stick to
मेरे साथ तो बहुत कॉमन है।
विवेक,
हाँ सर।
क्या कॉमन है विवेक?
मतलब मैं पेस्टल अप्रोच लगाता हूँ और फिर उसको अच्छे से प्रॉपर एक स्ट्रक्चर नहीं दे पाता हूँ इससे को।
नहीं, हम ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग की बात कर रहे हैं विवेक। when you pen your thoughts, you more or less follow the pestle or speech lead approach, right? As we have learned in the previous sessions. Thoughts को pen down करने में दिक्कत आ रही है क्या by using that template? That is my question. Actual writing की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं मैं। दिक्कत नहीं आ रही है?
नहीं आती, उसमें नहीं आती, ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग में नहीं आती,
नहीं आ रही है। Okay, so I hope you are clear, Vijay.
Yes, sir, but I felt that, if everyone is using the same speech-led approach, it does not become common, and then to the
Not everyone is using that same template for brainstorming. Guys, let me ask you, अभी जितने लोग इस मीटिंग में हैं, इससे पहले आप ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग किस तरह से करते थे? स्पीच लीड अप्रोच फॉलो करते थे क्या आप सब? कौन फॉलो करता था स्पीच लीड अप्रोच? कौन फॉलो करता था इससे पहले? कोई नहीं। अक्षय ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग कैसे करते थे आप?
Sir, I used to follow the speech lead thing, but my major problem in essay was the structure part, sir. I had a problem in that. So I used to follow the speech lead, but the weaving thing which was there, that was not perfect for me. So I had a different learning in this program.
Sequencing was not present. That
for me, the major was the structure. Yeah. So right now I can visualize the structure, that introduction, then the definition, then I can go to the body. That was not there for me earlier. Like always I miss out on the final list because of essay only.
Okay. So let's hope this time that won't happen. Okay, at least with the essay paper. We are hoping to see not only Akshay but everyone present in this meeting in the final list. सभी के सब mains लिख रहे हैं. Okay. So as I was speaking to ये विंडोज शफल होती रहती हैं. Vijay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll stick to the speech lead template for brainstorming. Were you saying something, Prabha?
नहीं सर.
अच्छा. विवेक?
नो सर.
काफी गहन चिंतन में दिख रहे हो. कुछ चल रहा है दिमाग में?
नहीं सर, कुछ नहीं.
कविता, तुमने बैक कैमरा चालू कर रखा है क्या? कैमरा चालू करने का मतलब फ्रंट कैमरा.
I don't know, sir. I don't know. Actually, it's not visible to me, so I don't know which camera is on.
अच्छा, ठीक है, कैमरा छोड़ो. Tell me, is there a doubt?
No, sir. Actually, I missed previous session. Then it is really difficult for me understanding what you are saying.
कुछ चीजें शायद सर के ऊपर से जा रही होंगी. Priority basis पर complete the previous sessions. Go through the previous sessions on a priority basis. माधव, कोई doubt? आनंद, माधव, दीपक?
क्लियर हो गया सर.
विवेक, आर यू श्योर कोई डाउट नहीं है? क्योंकि आज आपने 2-3 डाउट्स प्रेजेंट किए थे, तगड़े वाले. क्लैरिटी है?
बस सर प्रॉब्लम वहीं पे आ जाती है, एस्से को सही तरीके से इंटरप्रेट कर रहे हैं कि नहीं. अब मेरे को तो लगता है कि मैंने सही इंटरप्रेट किया है, लेकिन फिर बाद में पता लगता है कि ये गड़बड़ हो रही है। ये मतलब ये तो बहुत ही कॉमन मिस्टेक है,
ठीक है,
जो मेरे साथ होती है।
ठीक है, ठीक है, इस पर काम करना पड़ेगा। इंटरप्रिटेशन अगर गलत हो जाएगा टॉपिक का तो इट विल इम्पैक्ट आवर मार्क्स। फाइन विवेक, आपसे भी मैं फोन पर बात करता हूँ, फोन पर ही इसकी क्लैरिटी मिल पाएगी more than on Zoom session. Prabha, you're raising hand.
So as we move on to the third test now, is there anything we can do intentionally? अब तो जैसे practice से हो रहा है, we're seeing the comments coming, we're trying to work on them. लेकिन अब और इम्प्रूवमेंट करने के लिए एंड कंसोलिडेट करने के लिए जो भी सीखा है कुछ और हम कर सकते हैं क्या? या तो मतलब आधा घंटा ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कर लिया, या फिर लाइक व्हाट एल्स कैन वी डू? PYQs देख लिए, वो कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है।
डेफिनेटली कर सकते हैं। उसके लिए आपको आपके मेंटर का फोन उठाना पड़ेगा।
Yeah, definitely. I'll pick. Sorry, I was in a session, तो वो फोन लॉकर में रहता है। मैंने आपको मैसेज कर दिया ड्रॉप।
या
schedule a call.
फोन पर कनेक्ट करेंगे और बेहतर क्लैरिटी ऑन इंडिविजुअल लेवल हम लेने की कोशिश करेंगे। फाइन गाइज, आई थिंक डाउट्स सबके क्लियर हो चुके हैं। फाइन, लेट्स एंड द सेशन हियर। अगेन एज ऑलवेज इट वाज ग्रेट इंटरेक्टिंग विद यू गाइज। चलो, गुड नाइट।
Good night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.